We've talked about why people delay care: fear, masculinity, mistrust, culture. Now I want to talk about what actually happens when that delay catches up to the body. Because delayed care always has a cost, and that cost shows up physically, emotionally, financially, and sometimes permanently. When symptoms are ignored or dismissed, conditions don't stay the same, they progress. Cancer moves from early stage to advanced stage. High blood pressure quietly damages the heart, kidneys, and brain. Autoimmune diseases continue attacking the body. Brain injuries compound. By the time someone finally seeks care, the question isn't what's going on, it's how much damage has already been done. When you think about everything we've discussed, the normalization, the mistrust, what do you see as the biggest physical cost of waiting too long? For me, the biggest physical cost is that the body loses the chance to heal in a simpler way. When you wait too long, you're not just dealing with the original issue anymore. You're dealing with everything that issue has touched along the way: organs, joints, nerves, energy, stamina. Things that might have been manageable early on become chronic or permanent. What really hits me is how many of these conditions don't have loud warning signs. High blood pressure, early cancer, autoimmune disease, they don't always stop you in your tracks. So people keep going, and the body keeps compensating until it can't anymore. And by the time you finally get help, you're not asking, how do I fix this? You're asking, how do I live with this? That's the cost. Waiting takes options off the table. And for athletes, the consequences can be career ending. Chris Bosh's blood clots didn't just affect his health, they ended his time in the NBA. Brett Favre's untreated concussions didn't just cause pain, they reshaped his future. Venus Williams lost years of peak performance before she got answers. Delayed care doesn't just take years off your life. Sometimes it takes the life you plan to live. Let's pause for a quick reality check because the research on delayed care is clear. A large study published in the BMJ found that just a 4-week delay in cancer treatment can increase the risk of death by 6 to 13%, depending on the cancer type. The American Cancer Society reports that people who delay screening and treatment are more likely to be diagnosed at advanced stages when treatment is harder and outcomes are worse. And it's not just cancer. A health affairs study showed that people who skip regular care are twice as likely to end up in the emergency room for conditions that could have been managed early, like high blood pressure or diabetes. So waiting doesn't make problems smaller. It makes them louder, harder, and more dangerous. And the consequences aren't just physical. Delayed care creates anxiety, regret, fear, a constant low level stress of knowing something might be wrong but not wanting to face it. People carry guilt, asking themselves, what if I had gone sooner? And that emotional weight can last long after treatment begins. How much do you think delayed care affects people mentally, not just when they get the diagnosis, but in the years that follow? There's also a financial cost. Early care is almost always cheaper than late care. Preventive visits cost far less than hospitalizations. Managing a condition early is far less expensive than treating complications. Delayed care often leads to longer hospital stays, more invasive treatments, lost work, long-term disability. So the idea that avoiding care saves money, it usually does the opposite. And what's important to say here is this: people don't delay care because they don't value their lives. They delay because they're navigating fear, mistrust, culture, finances, and survival. But the body doesn't negotiate, it keeps moving forward, whether we're ready or not. So the real question becomes, how do we break this cycle? How do we catch symptoms earlier? How do we rebuild trust? How do we give people tools to understand their bodies before things reach a crisis? That's where solutions come in, including how traditional medicine and functional medicine can work together to help people take action sooner, not later.